Michigan, we received 100% funding for it, which is great, but they do this so then they can say, here's the $40 million project, at which point you're on the hook for 25% of it. At that point, getting up to that, we're going to have to look at funding options. There's a lot of work being done behind the scenes to kind of say, the reality here is how are we going to come up with $11 million? We're going to need some help both from the state and federal. And I think some of your statistics here, as I've talked to some of our members of the Senate, talked to our governor about it, those are things that are a real concern. I mean, you say this, what's the and I've talked with some of our, the members of the USDA and the guys who work on these dams every day. And I asked them, and you're never going to, I've said this before, you're never going to get an engineer to put anything in writing. Because I said, how concerned are we that this site breaches? And he says, well, it's not very likely, but I'm not going to say that, obviously, and I wouldn't either. But obviously there's some other, issues of just the amount of water it takes at this point. One of the one down at the end of Site 1 Road, that comes up onto someone's leach field every day, and now we're doing a very good job of managing and being proactive right now, of looking at the 7 to 10 day forecast and saying, all right, are we going to have to let these things out because we know we don't have as much room to play with. So a credit to our highway and emergency management services that are doing that. They're on top of it. But that's what we're going to have to do to get us to the bigger point. And they do, once we get to the construction phase, it's still a 10-year process because they do 5 dams, they do one every 2 years. So they'll take the highest priorities and move from there. So I think the key to take away is that the work from the spillways is going to be done and will be done shortly, but we have to look at the bigger picture and continue to really hammer on the rehab of these dams because it's, as you said, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, for a lot of us, I and myself included, we have to keep on top of this because some people, we can't let it really slip away because it is not, although one person may not be affected. If you have a 48-foot wall of water coming down 100, that's an MCI incident, so it's kind of, and we'll continue to share information, but we're at this point right now, except for the repairs to the spillways, it's going to be drawn out. It's kind of behind the scenes of just trying to find the funding.
We have to be at the tail end of that 2 years of engineering.
I think we're going into this. I mean, I secured the funding. That was only about 8 months ago. I've been here a year, so we're going into the second year at this point.
So we have one more year of engineering theoretically.
Yes.
Okay.
Bruce.
The July flood, which was the second time since Irene, FEMA had to come in and repair.
It's the second time those spilled.
Okay.
This will be the second time.
That was 6 to 8 inches. Mm-hmm. So this isn't out of the realm of possibility in the near future. That's my point.
Oh, no.
Even though we don't know when, we've seen enough water that the breach could be catastrophic. Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't just be the residents there. That would wipe the town out, frankly. You would have business. We still don't have Shaw's. Okay? We can't keep doing that and maintain people coming here to Ludlow to a disaster area, is my opinion.
Sure.
Bruce.
I can't help myself. So I would encourage the board, kind of a point of order, public comments shouldn't be about a presentation. I think we owe it as the board and to all of us as citizens to put this on the agenda, because when there's things of discussion like this on the agenda, there may be people that want to participate. So perhaps the board may consider putting it on the agenda every month for the next 6 months so you can give updates, and then people can, because I thought that was a great presentation, but I think we all know it shouldn't be under public comments. It should be under an agenda item so people know that they can participate in it. So just a point of order, something to consider.
Any other comments from citizens? Okay, Liquor Control Board, liquor license renewal for Tom's Loft Tavern. There seems to be no issue. The chief signed off on it. Do I have a motion for it? Have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Guys opposed? Guys have it. Department head reports. Guys have them. Any comments on any of them? Town and village merger process.
So I just wanted to bring this up, and at the risk of sounding redundant, I'll probably say pretty much the same thing regarding the local options tax, but we'll get that when we get there. Town and village merger has been discussed for a while, at least since I've been here, and is something that we need to take a look at, just for the sheer fact of, what is in the best interest in terms of efficiency for the town. And I think that this needs to be something that is discussed, much like we did with the ARPA funds, needs to be discussed at an individual meeting, whether that's comprised just of the select board or a number of other members of boards in the town that it will affect. We need to look at the overall processes of this, the pros and cons of it, of what a merger would mean for our community, what the tax implications would be, positive, negative, if there are any. Everybody needs to have this explained in an open forum. One of the biggest questions we have is regarding the water and wastewater. Someone who lives out by the lakes, et cetera, isn't on the system. How does that play out? That needs to be explained and everything. So I really feel that we need to set a meeting date. I personally think this, from working here and seeing the way the village and the town have to work together in our board meetings, it's something that needs to really strongly be considered. But me just sitting here saying that doesn't cut it. It needs to be laid out. We need to have those facts, a fact sheet, that if people have questions, concerns, because there obviously will be some implications, but those need to be laid out. So I would propose that we set a meeting, our first meeting, sooner than later, to begin this process. We are looking down the road at the possibility of having votes on it. This, although isn't a extremely difficult process, we're not reinventing the wheel here, there are some things at the state level that would need to be signed off as well. But I think we need to move on that now.
So we want to form a committee, or do you want to do
I'm open to
joint
anything.
boards?
I feel like it's probably worth having those village, water and electric involved in the conversation. And I don't know if there's other, like maybe Vermont League of Cities and Towns has some resources on that process, but there's probably someone who has gone through it before that could be kind of advising.
Would it be worth having basically a joint meeting of the village, water commissioners, town, ask for a representative from the electric light department? I can reach out to VLCT, see if they have, someone that can either provide guidance or come to it. Yeah. I think that's the best first step in this. And again, I have heard not really a whole lot of pushback regarding doing it, but we've talked about it, and now's the time to let's do it and take those steps. So I would propose, do we want to set because I have to reach out to the other boards.
Yeah.
I'll see them tomorrow. I can contact them. I will send out.
Yeah, set up a meeting.
Okay.
Set up a joint
Yeah,
meeting.
I'd say we set up a meeting with all the boards, and then maybe we can come up with committees.
I'd like to
few
I'd like
members
to
from
have a
each board or
meeting
whatever.
for this within the next 2 weeks.
That's
to
fine.
start it.
Yep. Okay. Okemo seasonal update. Bruce?
Thank you for giving me the time, and thanks for the lectern. I really good job on that. Bruce Schmidt, Vice President, General Manager for Okemo, also resident of the town of Ludlow, 988 Chapman Road. I wanted to take some time. I think we did this in the fall, in the fall before the season, and talk a little bit about how the season went, and also give you opportunity if you had any questions, for me. Really appreciate the support of the select board, the municipal manager, the town employees. We couldn't do some of the things that we do without that. This was our 67th season opened on the 17th of November. It was a bright sunny day, and then the weather kind of went different ways. A real weather challenged. Really were impacted on the holidays significantly. December holiday, we only had 42% of our trails open, and we didn't reach 100% of trails until February 8th. So just even with the snowmaking that we have, we just didn't get the weather. But we finished the season strong, with March being the snowiest month of the ski season, and April was close by. We had a total of 133 inches, but our average is around 150. Snowmaking team worked so hard, to do what needed to be done, and very proud, and really appreciate their hard work, along with the entire Okemo team. As far as parking and traffic, I think the team managed it well. Didn't seem to have any traffic issues during the season. We appreciate the use of the blue lot for parking, and the support, and we had consistent communication with Ludlow PD, Chief Billings, and his team. Also worked closely with Ludlow Fire Department. We did an annual walkthrough of the Jackson Gore Inn to make sure they understand where things are, give them so that's not the first time that they're there. We also are creating a more formal operational process for the fire department. Okemo owns the low-pressure fire hydrants on the Upper Crossroad, and it's been something that I've really pushed the team to work with the town so that we can make it seamless to know how to start and get water to those hydrants. So that's been done and being done. I think there were some employees that worked for us and were also on the fire department that knew how to do it, but we want to make sure that it's really ready to go. Ludlow Ambulance continued a strong partnership with Ludlow Ambulance. I think Stephanie told me that there was one time that they had to call mutual aid, and it actually wasn't even an issue at the mountain. We supported the calls. Had some Okemo staff continue to work and help and drive the ambulance, and be if they were working for Okemo, they would go with the ambulance. We're also working with Stephanie and her team to have them help support getting Okemo staff trained in no-touch CPR. It's something that Stephanie is passionate about and has really pushed, and we have a training safety day next Wednesday, and she's going to be helping us, with support of that. So we really appreciate, that relationship. Some summer events that we have. We are partnering with Divided Sky for a 5K, and there's a music concert on Saturday, the 18th of May. We'll be starting the Friday night concerts on the 28th of June, and they run through Labor Day weekend. We're collaborating with the town, providing the space for, they'll be shooting fireworks off from the Sugar House like they did last year. So they're using the plaza area and the Clock Tower base area on Friday, July 5th. Then we have a Taps and Taste event, beer festival and wine on Saturday, the 3rd of August. And we have another fall into winter event on Indigenous Peoples Weekend on Sunday, October 13th. We have 6 weddings scheduled that'll be happening this year, this summer. And there's another 8 or 10 that are doing room blocks, so they're having ceremony in the area. Summer projects, we're working on, a small project. We're in the permitting process for a small carpet lift that we're moving around, but normal maintenance and doing some painting on some of the lifts, nothing, big projects, pump rebuilds and like that. We are starting a new program. It's called My Epic Gear, and it's not a rental program. It's a new alternative to owning and using ski equipment. It's the gear you want when you want it. It's a subscription service. We'll be offering it out of the Clock Tower base area and the Jackson Gore base area. They did this at 4 resorts in our company last year, and they've expanded it to now they'll have 12 that'll be doing it. So we're excited about doing that. Memberships will be limited for guests for this season. They'll be on a first come first served basis. So that's it's looking good. It's just a new way of offering gear for guests. So kind of an ending. We appreciate all the support that Brendan has given us and Ron and all the department heads, and really thank you all for all you've done, and open it up to any questions that anyone might have, or the public too. So. I would say it was not. We didn't weather impacted skier visits this season as it did across the state of Vermont. So it was it wasn't one of our better ones, I can tell you that. So
I would just say that the public commentary that I saw, your snowmaking team did a phenomenal job. And we get a lot of feedback, and it was a tough year. They kicked butt.
yeah.
They really did.
Well, thank you.
I would just, from my seat, going into the winter, I will say that it's my first winter here. I was nervous, to say the least, just realizing what I might have gotten myself into. But the communication with Bruce and John Neal at the mountain and Eb and Ron was flawless from our perspective. We met this morning with John Neal. He wanted to go over some of the operations with Chief Billings and Chief Grover, and everything was we really left having no complaints. Traffic seemed to be a non-issue this year. Bruce touched on the ambulance side of things. Having a partnership of being able to take a ski patroller who also works for us is huge. I think Stephanie and John said we went from 2 years ago having somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 mutual aid calls that we had to call Springfield or Chester for, to having one this year that was not even related to the mountain. It was actually, pretty impressive, and a lot of teamwork that goes on there that people don't even realize happens until it doesn't happen. So, from my perspective, I thought it was a solid year, and I just appreciate the partnership that we have. It's smooth to be able to know that we work together, and I can make a phone call or Bruce can call, and we can get something figured out if we have a problem. So, it's helpful on my end.
Well, thank you for your support.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks for the update.
Okay, Ludlow Mount Holly Unified Union School District open seat discussion.
So just a brief change here. You have 2 letters of interest. Mr. Wilson has since, as of this morning, due to personal reasons, has to withdraw his letter. So we just have 1 letter that I believe is provided to you.
Is that for 1 or 2 seats?
There was only 1 seat.
Okay.
I don't know if Jennifer's here or not.
She is, right there.
Hi. I'm Jen McCulkey, so I also put in a letter of intent to join the school board. My family and I live here in Ludlow in the village. I'm not an educator. I'm a nurse, but my oldest is in pre-K. She'll be going to kindergarten. I have a 2-year-old who'll be coming up through as well. So I see a long relationship with Ludlow Elementary School. Both my parents were educators, so education is I feel strongly about it. And I feel as a parent being on the board may be a good representation for Ludlow. So I was hoping
Thanks for
to be
being
considered.
interested. That's great. Fantastic.
Is that all I have to do?
Yep. So we have a motion.
I will make a motion to, are we approving this or appointing? Or,
I believe the select board makes the recommendation to the school board.
I'll make a motion to recommend Jennifer McCulkey for the Ludlow Mahal Unified School District Board.
Second.
Open for discussion. Being no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Guys opposed? Guys have it.
So Jennifer, I'll call Lauren tomorrow and forward this to her of what the recommendation was, so should be all set.
FEMA buyout, 21 Meadow Street.
So this is a request for a FEMA buyout. I had some conversations with Mr. and Mrs. Couch over the property at 21 Meadow Street. They are interested in beginning the process for the buyout. We do have a couple of properties in that area on Meadow Street that are, or they're actually on Mill Street, that are in the process of doing the same process. So I see no reason why the select board wouldn't allow this process to move forward. I know Alan's here. If you would like to speak, I guess that's at this point, I would just be asking for approval or
You guys
discussion.
have any questions, or?
No.
Do we have a motion to proceed with that?
I make a motion to approve the FEMA buyout for 21 Meadow Street.
Second.
Open for discussion. Being no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Guys opposed? Guys have it.
So just the way this will proceed is much like any of the other buyouts. I'll work with the Couches on moving this forward. That will takes in any of their damage reports with FEMA. The FEMA rep with the Modern Emergency Management is Brian McWalters, and he'll begin the process where, it moves fast at some points and slow at others. So I'll work with them to get the ball rolling and keep you updated with where we stand probably at the next meeting with the other buyouts as well.
Okay. Consider approval of 5K alarm road race.
So this is the annual 5-alarm 5K that the fire department did last year for the first time. Great event, starts at the community center, goes down Main Street, goes up High Street and down Doug Road, back onto 103 and circles and kind of zigzags a little bit through the village using Pleasant Street and ends back at the community center. They are also doing a community barbecue that they applied for a grant and were granted that. Angela Kissel worked hard on that to get that. So they'll be doing a community barbecue after that. This is being held on the 31st, so it's Labor Day weekend. The majority of the race takes place in the village. Trustees have approved it. The reason it's at the select board is because part of it on Doug Road and 103 loops into the town.
Motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the 5K alarm road race.
Second.
Second?
Open for discussion. Being no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Guys opposed? Guys have it. Local option tax discussion.
So really in the same vein as we talked about just briefly ago with the merger process, local options tax has been something that's been looked at here before. It is brought up, and it's something that we need to address. I feel that we need to address and have it voted on, and if not, if it goes, great. If it doesn't, we put it to bed. But this is something that should be discussed in a public forum at its own meeting. because there are a number of implications and effects, cause and effect to community members, business owners, which we have, we cover every part of the spectrum in this town with that. So we need to look at this in terms of, what's the cost reward, and those need to be laid out for people when they come, because I can sit here and tell you all the reasons that it should happen, and here are some of the reasons that it's going to be negative, but there are going to be questions that, this will take a couple of meetings, because I'm sure that someone's going to have a question and say, how does this happen? And I'm going to say, I don't know, but I'll find out. And it will come back. So that kind of dialogue needs to come before, and it may come to the board, and we may say, after it's all, it happened with the short-term rentals. At one point, we thought that was going to happen. After discussion and a lot of public input, we decided, no, that wasn't the route that was good for this town. That could happen here. We may say we're not going to put it to the voters. But at that point, we need to say, all right, if we do put it, we're going to let it vote. And if it happens, great. If it doesn't, we're going to move on down the road with it, I think. But these are a couple of things that I've had on my radar that we need to check off and say, all right, we stop talking about them and we'll do it, or we're going to move on to something bigger and better. So, again, the pleasure of the board. Do you want to meet as a select board to talk about this? This is, I think, a little bit, we could form a committee.
I think we put this in with the other meeting and kind of get the feel of the other board.
Every board's, okay.
And then maybe we'll have some of the other board members be interested in sitting in on it and kind of I think we need to form a committee on this one.
Not a problem.
And is this something that if the town adopts an options tax, the village is a separate thing to that? Where we'd kind of want to have it lumped in?
Well, it's going to be
together?
lumped, I believe. That's why I think pulling some of the trustees on it, because this is more a decision of the select board, obviously, because part of it, let's be honest, if the village said no, you just cut out half of...
But the village could, there are two separate entities as it lays out now. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to look, in one of the questions, perfect example is here, is I do not know. I know plenty of towns that have voted to implement it. I do not know if there is a village town that has decided to implement it. I think Rutland did, but I don't know Rutland Town and Rutland City both did. I'm not sure. That's a little bit different.
And I do think for the options tax specifically, getting community input, the Chamber of Commerce, something like that.
Yeah, so I would reach out to Carol Whitehall, ask her to be involved. I think having that even more so than the merger, but this is going to be, we need to have the public discussion, and because obviously this will have it will have a direct impact on anyone here, one way or the other. So, right. So I will move forward with that, and
we'll discuss it then. Okay, discuss use of land for dog park.
So over the last week, the dog park has been something that we have been talking about, obviously very damaged, destroyed in the flood, and trying to look at how to get it back. The dog park committee and rec department fundraised a tremendous amount of money, in the neighborhood of $9,000-$10,000 to put it back. And it was never, necessarily putting it back where it was, or even putting it back at the Little League fields. At one point, it looked like our option, but unfortunately, that's probably going to get destroyed again at some point. So last week, talking with Mr. Bates and then Ron Tarbell, we're thinking that right now, and I would ask the board to allow us to move forward, is putting this at West Hill. We went up and looked at it. And the area of the dog park, that area as you pull into West Hill, that is located to the left of the current office building there, is about, Nick measured it out, and the area, he said, is 115 by 125.
We need 125 up to 185.
Okay, there you go.
It's a pretty big area.
So, and this just seems to be the best idea. I know, Brett and I looked at it as well, and it's not going to flood. The water from the dam may rise to that point and come up to the fence, but at that point, it's not a rushing water. The worst case scenario, you might have to go down and pick some of the sticks off the fence and you're ready to go again. I just think that it feels to me as I didn't even personally think about West Hill. And then when we started to look at it, we're like, wow, this could actually be a very good place for it. It's plowed already during the winter. That was an issue down at Fletcher because we had to plow the road in. This is maintained during the winter. You have plenty of parking. And it may help us in maybe revitalizing West Hill a little bit. Using the dam, fishing. There's trails out behind the river up to the waterfalls, everything. There's a court there that someone, we had talked about flooding for ice skating, in the past. I just think that right now, we've talked a lot in the last few weeks and month about ARPA, which kept coming back to recreation. And, I kind of realize it too. This place is staring us in the face. And, this is a start where if we put the dog park there, it's going to allow people, and that's where people will go, and you just build on that.
You got water and bathrooms.
Yeah, and eventually you have water there, and it just part of me too, as we said, looks like we could put it back and Fletcher Field. It's a great spot, and then we talked about the Little League field because we own that land, but if and when it floods again, everybody's going to go, oh, we can't put it back there. Why don't we put it at West Hill? And why don't we just do it now? So it'll be, and I'd like, I talked with our rec department and buildings and grounds. Everyone from the department is on board with it. And this is something that the money's there. And if we just keep waiting, it's going to be prolonged. People really, really enjoy this dog. So getting it and being able to say, all right, bang, we can have it done, and having it done early in the summer, it'll be an uplifting thing as well.
I think we move forward with it.
Okay.
What's the size difference?
I know the one, and I don't know the actual difference in the size of what it was.
Something. It's not huge. We had one of the biggest in the state. We don't need that up to the West Hill Dam because you have all kinds of other places to go and run. I don't want to say it's a third smaller, but it's a little smaller.
And it's not going to be a complete square. It will kind of follow the base of the hill.
And we'll have two runs, one for big dogs, one for little dogs. Yeah. I mean, it really is a perfect spot.
And that slope isn't bad, what we were talking about.
We looked at it.
Nice.
Down at the bottom, gets a little damp, but again, if the water comes up.
That's not damaging water, though.
It's not damaging water.
Yeah. And they've
It's just
definitely,
rising water. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And it won't hurt the fence. We did this once. We lost it once. If we do this again and lose it again, the funding won't ever be there.
Correct.
The donations won't be there. So this is where it really needs to go. And I don't mind listening to all the dogs.
We need a motion on that?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. Well, we have a motion to move forward on.
Move a motion to move forward with it.
Second.
Second. Open for discussion.
Can I make a comment? Years ago, they had a woman come in and did dog training up at West Hill. And I took my dog there. This is like 2001, 2002. And it was a great place. And then we, after the training, we'd take a walk with her up the
Right.
trails. So as somebody who doesn't even live here, that was a beautiful place.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Guys opposed? Guys have it. So we can skip over the dam.
We can skip over the dam.
Capital improvement plan, possible grants.
Just a brief update, working with a few different sources on refining and redeveloping our capital improvement plan here in town. It's something that's been talked about, but having a municipal capital improvement plan is vital to, 3 and 5 year plans for a town. We have one, it is, I think it isn't completely up to date, but we have some things moving forward. And they're not overall, it doesn't, for the funding, to have one done, I'd like to redo ours completely. It's not an exorbitant amount of money. It's something we have in the budget for a match, but it's just something that I would like to be able to, going into the fall, especially with our budget season, have something in place that we're saying, all right, this is our capital plan. So.
Okay, discuss new fire and police chief positions.
So just an overview here for what we have done and what we have coming up. Over the past month and a half, we had a committee and a group that was tasked with interviewing potential candidates for the new fire chief position. We interviewed 6 candidates, which was I thought we had a great group of interviews, which we did over a week and a half, George.
About a week and a half.
The board consisted of myself, George Tucker, Justin Hijack, Chief Billings, Phil Carter, and Ron Bixby. So we had a diverse group of people to do that. After we interviewed everyone, I'm happy to report and announce that we offered the job to Ben Whalen, and he accepted. So Ben Whalen will be coming on as a new full-time fire chief here the second week of June. Ben is currently working for the state as the fire marshal and is a Chester resident. So he's currently also the fire chief for Chester. So I think we are moving forward in a good place. That was a lot of work, so I thank the members of the board for their job and their guidance on that. The next step is police chief. So Chief Billings is tentatively retiring. He's dialing in the date. I don't think he wants to give us the date, but towards the end of September will be when Chief retires. The process that we will go through will mirror the same thing that we did for the fire chief. We will have a committee. We will begin to do interviews. Obviously, that will have to happen soon. The end of September will be here before we know it. So once Chief, if we have to hold him down and get a final date, as much as I don't want one from him, we will get one. And then we will begin the advertisement, the job description, et cetera, and we'll put that out. So that'll begin to move fairly quickly here. I anticipate by our June meeting, you'll know who the board committee is, the committee, hiring committee, and then we'll make that recommendation. So. Unfortunate to lose Jeff, but I think he's earned it at this point.
Okay.
I got a question for you, man. Do we have to go this route the same way as we did with the fire chief?
I mean...
Because I'm a firm believer of hiring within
Sure.
and moving up. Because you're not going to get the young kids that we have there if they don't have a future down the road or a possibility down the road.
Yeah. From a legal standpoint, I don't necessarily think you have to. Is it...
I mean, we did with the fire chief, we did it with you. I think we have that option.
We do, yeah, and that's really at the pleasure of the board. So that can be a discussion, Realistically, if you want to go with the committee and put it out there, that's great.
I would hate to go through the whole process and have 5, 6 candidates that we maybe have no intention of using and make them do that. Then, we have the qualified people willing to step up.
Yeah, that would be a board decision.
Okay. We're going to
Something
discuss
we
that
can talk
anyways.
about, for sure.
Municipal manager update.
I have a few good news right now. Is we've been talking about the Code Red, which is the municipal alert system that we've been working on. That is now live. You can register on the website, on our website. There's a link that's on there. There's a lot of promotional materials that will be coming out. I was able to log on, get on, so I think most people can do it. it's pretty nifty, the program and what it can do. We'll begin once we have some subscribers. We'll do some alerts,
So
some tests.
you physically have to subscribe into it?
You log on, put your name in, yeah.
Okay.
Well, and so here's the thing is that you can either, if you would like to, you can.
Right.
It also is run off of public information that's available. So if I were to say, we want to hit everyone in town, it will tap into whatever the federal information it has.
Right, so it'll
So
notify.
it could get you, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
For like
It's
a
in
major
Rhode
disaster.
Island.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in Rhode Island, we get notifications and I
Yeah.
didn't sign up for nothing, so.
So that's great. Green
That's on the
Update-
website?
Huh?
That's on the website?
Yeah, I think she was actually putting it on tonight with the QR codes.
Great.
Green Up Day was a wonderful success. They had about 120 volunteers, picked up 6,400 pounds of trash. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's a lot. I think the previous amount was somewhere near 3,000. So that's great. Nick said it was by far and away the biggest and most successful Green Up Day that they've had since he's been here. So that's, a credit to everyone who pitched in and worked. I know they were doing a lot on 100. Guys were still making the rounds this morning, picking up bags that were left, so.
The Snowmobile Club put a big crew
Yeah,
together.
That's
too, for it.
great. I know that, who was he? He said somebody had I know the Mountain, William Rivas, there were a number that had had big groups of people, which is fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
6,400 pounds of trash is a lot, and that's, Patty looked like she was seeing double this morning after the weekend, so. Timber Inn demo, you may have seen the fire department's been training down there. They're gonna have a big mutual aid training there in 2 weeks. Bids for the demo are due Wednesday, and then demo for that building is done 30 days after that. So you'll have, the Timber Inn will be down realistically by the 10th of June, which will be interesting. Cemetery's open for the season, which, I thank our department for getting that open. The road is still, is not paved, so at the point that we have to pave that road, it'll be closed. That's probably in 2 weeks. It'll be closed for a day or so while they pave the road in there. Memorial Day Parade is being held on the 27th of May. Always a nice day in town. Paving project on the access road has begun. Fuller is up there. They've done the reclaiming. They just and have put a base down. The project, scope there is they put the base down. They have to bring some of the structures up. They will then put almost what basically is shim down to level everything out for the majority of the summer. Crown Point, who won the bid, it still has to do a culvert replacement at the bottom of the road. So that's the culvert that goes off the hill and under Pond Street. So that has to be done, and then at which point in the fall, we'll pave the entire access road. There was a lot of discussion about the fact that the village last year did not get money, so that's part of it, aside from the flood. We didn't want to have the town pave 3/4 of it and the village not pave it. So it was decided that we're just going to do it. The likelihood that the village gets money for the paving is very high, but either way, we're just going to go through and do it so we don't have a seam, and that will be done for the winter. ARPA meetings have been going on we had 2 over the last month. Some very good input, some good public input. That is wrapped up, so now it really falls to the town select board and the village trustees to decide how to allocate those funds. By next 2 weeks or so, I'll have a master sheet together that will be shared with the board. We'll share it with the public online of what the projects are, and then I think we decided in June we would vote to allocate those funds to those certain projects. So appreciate everybody's input.
Okay. Possible items for next meeting, June 3rd.
I have mine, ARPA. I'll have this, probably before that, we'll have some updates on the committees and meetings.
I think probably what our options are for the land that the timber inn is on, because that will be ours after the destruction.
Yeah, so
What are-
that's very good. It's ours now.
Yeah.
But I'll be able to tell us exactly. I'll lay that.
What we can and can't do with it.
And what's in that bid? How is that being left? Raw?
No, so it is basically, it has to be, I'm gonna use the word reclaimed to a green space. So pavement has to come up, and basically the way it will be left is the way the fields look on either side of it. The pool comes out, all of.
And do we know, like, if we decided, hey, we want to make that, well, the park space and picnic tables, can we have a dirt parking lot?
Yes,
We can.
believe you can have a dirt park. There's certain, obviously certain guidelines to follow, whether you can have picnic tables there. I'm not sure, how picky are they gonna be about a picnic table?
Maybe that's some things to look into.
Yeah, that's why I was,
There's
some
things
stuff to look
there's
into in
things
the
to
next
look
month.
at, So,
And maybe before they go in and put fresh topsoil on and, hey, leave a
yeah.
strip of
yeah.
road.
Okay, sign warrant orders. Obviously, they didn't come up. Or nothing needed to be
I
signed.
don't think we had anything else.
Possible executive session, nothing. So I motion to adjourn. Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Guys opposed? Guys have it? No.